Government AI that actually works. Everyone talks about AI in government like it's science fiction. It's not. I've worked in some of the most regulated industries on Earth, nuclear, aviation, where systems have to work under scrutiny. Here's what I know. You can build government AI that's accountable, transparent, and sovereign, but not the way most people think. The blueprint isn't theory, it's architecture. Real systems, real constraints, real accountability. And it starts with rethinking what we mean by control. Here's the plan. First, where traditional automation breaks. Second, what administrative AI actually looks like in practice. Third, the sovereign deployment stack, how you build this without handing control to Silicon Valley. Fourth, cost and timeline. Fifth, taking it from theory to deployment. Let's start with automation. I've watched automation programs fail, but Australia's Robodebt disaster was in a category of its own. The system made automated assumptions about income that directly violated the law. No human review, no appeal that mattered. Just an algorithm, unleashed, that sent out nearly 800,000 false debt notices to ordinary people. The cost? $1.8 billion in settlements. But the real damage wasn't financial. Families linked suicides to the scheme. That's not a bug. That's what happens when you automate without accountability. This is the baseline we're working from. Government automation deployed badly doesn't just waste money. It ends lives. Why did Robodebt fail so catastrophically? 3 reasons. First, opaque algorithms that couldn't explain their own decisions. Second, human oversight was deliberately removed, specifically for the most vulnerable populations. Third, institutional reflex. When things went wrong, the system doubled down instead of admitting error. The core problem wasn't the automation, it was the architecture. Accountability was bolted on afterward, not built in from the start. That's the pattern, and it's not unique to Australia. The Netherlands childcare scandal followed the exact same blueprint. So let's look at what actually works. I've built systems that have to be explained. Nuclear, aviation, environments where trust the algorithm gets people killed. So here's the first requirement. Government AI has to be tangible, not a vision statement, not a memo full of buzzwords. A real architecture you can inspect. Think of it like the smartphone. It changed everything because you could hold it, show someone, watch them figure it out. Administrative AI needs that same concreteness. You can't audit a vague promise. You can't hold accountable what you can't see. The systems have to be real, documented, and open to scrutiny. Here's the line you never cross. The AI proposes, the human decides. I've worked in environments where that distinction isn't philosophical. It's regulatory. The system can extract evidence, check compliance, generate a recommendation, but the authority to award a contract or approve a benefit, that stays human, non-negotiable. The AI doesn't make decisions. It makes the decision-making process legible and auditable by default. There's a difference. And in government, that difference is everything. How government AI actually works in practice. Let's get concrete. Procurement, the AI flags outlier bids and conflicts automatically. Estonia's been doing this for years. It works. Benefits administration. The AI translates bureaucratic language into something a human can actually understand. India's direct benefit transfer system has already saved billions by catching ineligible claims before they go out. Licensing. AI validates regulatory requirements. Processing time drops from weeks to hours. Cost per application drops from tens of dollars to cents. Routine cases sail through. Edge cases get routed to a human immediately. Notice the pattern. The AI doesn't decide. It sorts, translates, and surfaces what matters. The human still holds the authority. That's the architecture. Now let's talk about how you deploy it without handing your sovereignty to Silicon Valley. Here's the stack. 4 layers. This is what sovereignty looks like when you build it on purpose. Layer 1, policy grounding. Every rule gets a unique identifier. You can trace any decision back to the law that authorized it. No mystery. Layer 2, the processing engine. This is where the AI does its work, sorting, translating, flagging. Layer 3, accountability architecture. Who touched what, when, and why. Logged, auditable, non-negotiable. Layer 4, data sovereignty. Everything stays on local servers, encrypted, subject only to national law. No foreign cloud provider gets to be the landlord of your government's memory. This isn't theory. It's the blueprint, and it works because it was designed for scrutiny from day one. Let's talk about layer 2, the processing engine. You might think you need a hyperscaler. You don't. I've worked in nuclear and aviation, industries where getting it wrong isn't an option. The system can run securely on-premise using open-weight models. Llama, DeepSeek, Quen, Mistral. You download them. You deploy them. Zero ongoing fees to foreign cloud providers. A production-grade node, a few $1,000s. That completely destroys the argument that only Silicon Valley can handle government AI. Just government AI that actually works. And here's the part that matters most: accountability by design. This is what separates an institution from a disaster. Transparency isn't bolted on afterward. It's baked into the architecture from the start. Every decision generates a complete record citing the specific policy clause that authorized it. Human review triggers are hard-coded. If a citizen asks why they were denied, the system doesn't shrug. It provides the exact legal clause and a clear appeal pathway. The system doesn't just work. It explains itself. That's not a feature. That's the entire point. Government, AI costs, and timeline. Let's destroy the biggest myth in civic tech, that deploying AI in government requires 5 years and hundreds of millions in taxpayer money. I've negotiated $100 million technology decisions. Here's what the math actually looks like. Traditional systems cost up to $5 million annually in personnel alone. High error rates, days or weeks to process a single case. A ministry-scale AI deployment, $170,000 in annual operating costs. Power, maintenance, human oversight. The marginal cost of processing each case drops to near zero. The transformation roadmap is usually a 12-month plan to start planning. This doesn't have to be. Months 1 and 2, digitize policy, select your models. Months 3 and 4, fine-tune and run parallel human testing. Months 5 and 6, limited deployment, flag discrepancies. Months 6 through 12, full deployment with continuous monitoring. Human workers shift from processing to exceptions and complex appeals. Tangible transformation in under a year, not a 5-year digital transformation sinkhole. A real timeline, real systems, real accountability, from blueprint to reality. Jasbar, why government AI is still stuck. So the technology works. It's affordable. It's fast. What's actually standing in the way? I've built systems in regulated industries where failure has real consequences. Here's what I've learned. The blockers aren't technical anymore. The models exist. The hardware exists. What's stopping deployment? Procurement rules written for last decade's software. Vendor lobbying that sees open-weight models as an existential threat to their rent extraction. Labor concerns about job redesign that require honest engagement, not platitudes. And regulatory frameworks. The EU AI Act, Canada's Algorithmic Impact Assessment, still adapting in real time. The gap isn't capability, it's governance catching up to what's already possible. That gap is closing faster than most ministries realize. Sovereign AI and the purpose of the state. I want to end with what this is actually for. Sovereign AI isn't a tool for making today's government faster. It's a tool for building tomorrow's government sooner. That's the point. Not efficiency, not cost savings. Upgrading the fundamental capacity of the state to serve its people, equitably, transparently, independently. The technology exists. The blueprint exists. What happens next is a choice. Fosters government AI that actually works. So here's my question for you. Which process in your organization is currently the biggest black box? Where do decisions lack transparency? Where can't the people affected get a clear explanation in plain language? I've spent my career building systems that have to answer those questions under scrutiny. The technology exists. The blueprint exists. What happens next depends on whether you're willing to demand it. The window to build this right is open. It won't stay that way forever. Follow for more.